All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast. Today, I am joined by author Dee Mosley, whose book, Grace and Glow, shares her journey through unexpected health challenges and healing. Dee, welcome to the show. I'm glad that you accepted my invite to come on.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer, for having me. This means a lot to me to be able to continue to spread the word about, mental wellness, physical
Mhm.
health, and all of that good stuff throughout the region, throughout the country. So I really appreciate you having me on Empowering Minds. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Now, before we get started, your
Mhm.
volume is a little bit low.
Okay, let me see what is happening. Because I think I have it all the way up, but let me make sure. Okay, I was wrong. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good deal. I don't know what happened, but
No problem. No problem at all. All right. So before we go into some questions,
Mhm.
um, for the listeners who are going to listen to this later on, can you tell a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write Grace and Glow?
Sure, absolutely. Well, like you said, I'm Dee Mosley. I am from originally I am from Alabama, a little small town called Five Points, Alabama. So we're in the deep South, which I'm very proud. As my brother Travis Hargett likes to call me, the little country girl from Five Points is me. It's who I am. I have two grown adult children. My daughter, who is the oldest, Ayana, she'll be 27 this year. My son Ian will be 24. Been married. My husband and I have been married for 25, 26 years. We've been together almost 30. So that is who I am. A veteran. I served in the army. Just all sorts of things. But what I like to tell people now is that I am a retired all of that, except for being a mama and a wife, and just allowing God to use this journey that He has me on, to, in some way, if it inspires, encourages, or helps
Mhm.
somebody along the way, that is where I am. But other than that, I believe you asked me what got me on this journey. Well, I
Mhm.
definitely can say, with writing Grace and Glow, I never intended to write a book about what I've been going through, because a lot of
Mhm.
times, when we feel like we've gone through something traumatic, or especially when it has something to do with our health, whether it's physical or mental, we don't want folks to we don't want folk in our business. So this wasn't something that I intended to write about.
Mhm.
I just, as I was going through this, I just started writing and chronicling my symptoms, journaling, taking notes, because I felt like I had to at some point, because I was going back and forth to the doctor so much trying to figure things out.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure that I had notes, or if I couldn't remember something, I wanted to make sure I had that information to be able to give to my doctors or my physical therapist. So, and then also just writing my thoughts, because
Mhm.
I would be, sometimes in places of frustration. So just writing down my thoughts, my fears about what was going on, what was happening, especially trying to learn to understand or find language for where I was, or what I was doing, or what I was going through. Just trying to make sense out of everything. Um, I guess, and also I can add to that, just being the strong person that I thought I was, or that I pretended to be, or was trying to be, showing up for everybody else,
Mhm.
until I just couldn't do it anymore. Obviously, my body was letting me know in its own way, hey, I don't know what you got going on, but I can't keep doing this.
Mhm.
Um, and that's when all of everything came into play. I'm not necessarily saying at some point I was like, oh, I'm gonna write a book about this. Because at that time going through, I was more concerned with getting better and trying to make sure, that I wouldn't gonna die. So, at some point, once I started getting on the other side of what I've been going through, is when I feel like, God said, you need to use this and put this out there because you may be able to help someone else. So the simple answer to that, I wrote Grace and Gold because I wanted people to know, that somebody understands that no, you're not crazy, no, you're not weak, and to let folks know who feel like they may be alone, you're definitely not
Mm-hmm.
alone in this. So again, if what I've written, if my story can help just one person recognize themselves more sooner than I did, because this didn't just happen overnight. This
Mm-hmm.
took years of me neglecting my health and pretending like I was okay, that got me to the point of like this physical and emotional breakdown. I just want people to understand, use me as your mirror so that you
Okay.
won't go through what I went through, and get to it sooner than I did. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening to you because what you just said, you're talking to me. I did the
Yes,
exact same thing. I just shared that in a podcast last week. I
right.
always felt like I had to push through, show
That's
up,
it.
and my body was showing me the physical and mental symptoms. But I was like, no, I still got to
Right.
push. And
Right, right,
I
right.
pushed all right. I ended up in the hospital,
There you
dehydrated, blood, labs, everything. And
there
it
you
was
go.
almost about 2 weeks. And that was a
Exactly.
wake up call for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. And our bodies are constantly talking to us, but we
Hmm.
pretend like, we want to put all of that in the back of our minds
Hmm.
until our bodies say, okay, like I said, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna get off right here. I'm gonna stop right
Yep.
here. You can keep pretending like everything is okay, and we land on our butts. We land in the hospital or in urgent care or at our primary care physician,
Hmm.
and them telling us our blood pressure is at stroke level, or that we about to have a heart attack. All of these
Yep.
things because we want to pretend like we're superhuman when we're not.
Exactly. So
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask you, in specific, was it anything in particular that inspired you to share your personal journey?
Um, like I said, the inspiration came from me, understanding once I found language for it. And again, it took, me going, it was a journey, not just a few weeks or a
Hmm.
few months, but years of, looking at or feeling like, I different symptoms, like trying to commute to work, because at one point my commute back and forth to work was over an hour.
Hmm.
Getting to work, and when I get to work, I'm having to, I can't just go to work immediately when I get there. I'm running back and forth to the bathroom, or I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, I need to leave work early because I don't feel
Hmm.
well. So it took a lot of all of that, or having excruciating pain in my back, all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
That was a big part of the journey. And then trying to work, trying to manage my household, trying to, at the time my youngest was still in college, trying to manage all of that, trying to manage bills plus
Hmm.
work. All of those things, started to pile up and compound on top of themselves. And then I'm at work trying to make doctor's appointments because I'm like, what's going on with my body? So that was a part of the journey. And that was, on the tail end of all of that stuff piling up. That took almost a year and a half to 2 years to, I was still trying to push through, trying to understand. And the journey, all of that just kind of compounded, like I said, and landed me literally flat on my back.
Oh yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it was definitely one of the hardest seasons of my life because I wasn't just emotionally overwhelmed. My body literally began responding to the stress of everything that I just, talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just one symptom, it was multiple symptoms and issues all at the same time,
Yeah.
at once, which was stressful within itself. So I'm dealing with the stresses of life and then the stresses of multiple symptoms that my body was like literally crashing down around me.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, getting to the point of finding the right doctors, because that also goes into play, when you're trying to go to the doctor and you may not necessarily understand what you're going through, so you don't have the language to talk to them about what you're
Mm-hmm.
going through. They're looking at you like, we don't know what's going on. We're
Yeah.
taking these labs, we don't see anything, or all of that. So yeah, it was a combination and a compilation of a roller coaster, triple down domino effect of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it just the physical, it wasn't just the physical part of it, it was more so the emotional overwhelm of trying to figure everything out.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next, what I want to ask you, because you were talking about like the emotional, mental, physical symptoms, and you talk about this in your book. So
Hmm.
that season of your life, how did it impact you personally?
Oh, a lot. It impacted me personally. Like I said, because I was trying to figure out, you know, what was going on while still trying to produce like at the level that I once was
Mm-hmm.
producing. I couldn't realizing that, okay, I'm here now. I can't solve everyone's problems like I thought I would, used to, or people couldn't depend on me like they used to be able to depend on me, because I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up pace. I couldn't keep
Mm-hmm.
pretending like everything was okay. But looking back on it now, what felt like everything falling apart for me was actually God giving me permission to rebuild my life a little
Mm-hmm.
differently. It's almost like the Lord was saying, "Hey, I need you to stop and just take inventory over your life and where you are, and just begin to look at life differently." Because listen, you've got to stop and take care of yourself, because if you don't, all of these other things that you think are so important won't
Mm-hmm.
matter much longer, because you may not be here. Um,
Yeah.
so that's when I think I feel like I started to begin to heal. Not that the symptoms were gone, not that I didn't have a diagnosis, but the acknowledgement for me to admit to myself, okay, I'm no longer this person that I used to be or who I thought I was. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm I got to look at life differently from here, because I got to take care of me, so
Mm-hmm.
that what life I have left, not that I, was diagnosed with this terminal illness where doctors would sit down with me and say, "Hey, you only have 6 months to live,"
Mm-hmm.
but the healing, like I said, began there for me when I acknowledged, that life is going to look different. Um, Healing began when I stopped pretending that I didn't need to be healed, like nothing was
Yeah.
wrong. So that's where the healing journey began for me.
Okay. So everybody's healing journey is a bit different. So what I want to ask you about in your healing journey, did that include self-care? I noticed some highlights
Absolutely.
in your book. You emphasize the importance of redefining self-care.
Right.
So what does healthy self-care look like for you today compared to your healing
What it
journey
used to- Right.
or
Well,
before your
before,
healing journey?
yeah, before my healing journey, um, you just called it self-care, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that looks like for me, or looked like for me, just like everybody else. It was like the occasional, let me go get my hair done. Let me go buy this cute wig and, take a
Mm-hmm.
vacation or, and a lot of times vacation wasn't true vacation for me because a lot of times, especially when you working this full-time job and, putting in all of these hours and taking care of everything and everybody else, vacation most of the time looked like a turnaround trip, a weekend trip or whatever,
Yeah.
hopping in your car, spending all of this money to drive somewhere and then, turning around to do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Or treating yourself to doing like what they call shopping therapy or retail
Mm-hmm.
therapy, whatever, spending more money than you really have, honestly.
Yep.
So those were things that self-care used to look like for me. And all those things are great if you look at it, but that for me wasn't enough. Especially and anybody, honestly, if you're emotionally depleted, those things just yeah,
Yeah.
that just did not get it. So today for me, self-care looks like it looks a lot different. It looks like boundaries.
Yeah.
It looks like being able to say no without feeling guilty,
Mm-hmm.
even to my children, my husband. It's just those boundaries. For me, that's a big thing for as far as self care is concerned. Is it looks like therapy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Some people still shy away from, especially in our culture. We still shy away from talk therapy or therapy or counseling or whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it because we still associate therapy with, oh, something's wrong with me or
Yep.
something's wrong. You if you mention that word, what's wrong with you? But
Mm-hmm.
that was the biggest part of me understanding where I was and being able to say, hey, I cannot do this anymore. Being able to sit down and talk to somebody who don't know me from a can of paint, who doesn't have any biases toward me and can really
Mm-hmm.
look at me and tell me, tell me about myself without feeling like I gotta be, careful. I love her, so I don't want to tell her what I really see. So self-care therapy is a big part of that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another big thing for me, self-care looks like me learning how to rest. I talked
Mm-hmm.
about I talked about this a lot in the last podcast we did about Grace and Glow on a panel. I told the panel that I did not honestly know how to rest. I didn't have a true definition of what rest
Mm-hmm.
was. So I'm in a place now where I'm learning what that means. Rest has to come before exhaustion because if you're exhausted, the rest part of it is trying to just get your bearings and figuring out or trying to detangle all of this anxiety that you have before you get
Mm-hmm.
there. Self-care also looks like checking in with myself. Like we are constantly always checking in with other people. Like, how are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling? How you doing today? I realized at some point I wasn't asking myself those questions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's self-care is checking in with myself instead of constantly checking on everybody else. And definitely for me right now, self-care looks like protecting my peace.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's protecting instead of protecting everybody else's
Mm-hmm.
opinion of me or the way they look at me. Self-care definitely is about protecting my peace. It's not selfish. Self-care is
Right.
not selfish. I'm gonna say that one more time for the people in the back.
Yeah.
Self-care is not selfish. It's stewardship. For
Mm-hmm.
those of us who a church going folk, that word stewardship, we hear that a lot, be good stewards over our money, be good stewards over the things that God has given us. But self-care is also being a good steward over who you are and the blessing that God has in making you. So Self-care is learning how to be a good steward over who God created. Obviously, he saw something good in creating Dee Mosley.
Hmm.
So let me be a good steward over who I am as long as he sees fit for me to be here. So yes,
Hmm.
ma'am.
Ooh, this is good. A lot of what you said has
Listen,
resonated with me. And I feel
this
like you have read my mail because I'm telling you some of the same stuff you're saying. I'm like,
yes,
that's me.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And this is what Grace and Glow is all about. And I honestly had no clue what God was doing when He had me to put all of this out there. Because in the back
Hmm.
of my mind, I'm still thinking, okay, God, you really want me to put myself out there. But the more since the book has been out, and the more people that I have been given privilege and blessed to talk to, I'm hearing them say the same things. Like, this is me. The folk who read the book, it's like they're saying, you've written my story. So
Hmm.
this is blessing me to hear that whatever I'm saying is helping somebody.
Oh, yeah. Now, that takes to write a book about your life, that really takes some true healing to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
so, what were some of your most important lessons that you learned about healing, resilience, and personal growth through your experience?
So yes, ma'am. The biggest lesson was that I learned is that healing isn't about trying to get back to who you used to be. Um, it's about becoming the healthiest version of like I said, who God created you to be.
Yep.
I also learned one of the bigger lessons that I learned is that healing isn't instant. It don't just because you don't feel good or you're sick and you go to the doctor and you sit down in front of them and they take your temperature and your blood and your vitals, and they pinpoint something. I learned that it's not a straight line, because it's if you're suffering from something chronic, again, whether it's
Hmm.
mental or physical, you're you're not going to figure it out overnight. They're not It's not going to be like one simple answer. You may go from doctor to doctor to doctor, and you got to remember that these doctors are just as human as you are. Just because they went to medical school
Hmm.
doesn't mean that they have all of the answers instantly. So I learned that healing isn't linear. It's not a straight line. It's going to be days where you feel better than other days. It's going to be days where you feel worse than you did. It's not a
Hmm.
straight line. It's you understanding that, okay, I'm here in this now. What do I do with it? As you and God walk through this thing, I learned that if you're saved and you love the Lord, you can love God and still need therapy. So that
Oh,
was one
yeah.
of the biggest lessons
Yes.
um, that I learned. I learned that strength isn't pretending that you're okay. I learned, and this was a big one for me also, that resilience is not refusing to break. I think somewhere in the back of my mind, especially when I was younger, my thought process was, I don't care what's going on. I'm this strong Black woman. I'm resilient. You can't break me. Nothing's gonna
Hmm.
break me. I'm gonna keep moving. Being resilient and being strong is not refusing to break.
That's right.
I learned that it's learning how to rebuild. And I'm not just talking about your finances or whatever has crashed down around you.
Hmm.
Everything that you've had or thought was it's okay if it burns to the ground. It's not about rebuilding what's
Hmm.
on the outside. It's about rebuilding what's on the inside.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was a big lesson. I also learned that forgiveness isn't pretending that something or somebody didn't hurt you.
Hmm.
Forgiveness for me is refusing to let what hurt you. It's learning to refuse to let what hurt you continue to control you. Um So yeah, I learned a lot in a lot of those lessons in where I am today.
You one thing that you keep going back to therapy. And there's
Absolutely.
so many stigmas around therapy. Like you said, in
It
our
is.
culture, I know when I was growing up, if you mention the word therapy, people, something's wrong with
Yeah,
whoever.
it's such a
And so people,
taboo. Mhm.
right, right, they would not go to therapy because they felt like the
Mhm.
community or whatever would talk about them. So I encourage
Would
everybody,
yes,
listen, you
yes.
better tap into these resources. Even like
Please.
growing up, the culture was, well, let's take it to church
Mhm.
and we're going to
Exactly.
pray.
Right.
There's nothing wrong
Nothing
with
wrong with that.
praying in
Right.
Jesus, but you
But
you need to be laying on the couch with the therapist too.
you
Nothing
better,
wrong with it.
you better. You
Yeah,
I mean, and I love the Lord. I love community that looks like church. But we have got to understand, just like I just said, our doctors are human, our pastors and our leaders in the church, they're human as
that's right.
well. They have just as many issues, if not more, than we do.
Yep,
And we have got to learn and stop putting so much pressure on our pastors. And
that's right.
also, and not that, again, I love our pastors, but we've got to stop putting so much pressure on them to be the people who solve our problems, because
Yep,
some of our pastors may not be they may not be learned, or they may not have trained to be able to
yep.
help you through what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's also what's the word I'm looking for? And I'm trying not to sound down, like I'm downing our pastors, but we have people who have gone to school for to be able to help us process what we're going through, especially
That's
when
right.
it comes to emotional healing and mental awareness. And some of our pastors just may not be equipped to do that. So it's
That's right.
unfair to them for us to do that to them. And it's also unfair to us to expect our pastors to be able to help us process and walk through our, whatever we have going on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I say this, get with somebody like a therapist, like we're saying, who has
Mm-hmm.
no idea who you are,
Yep.
who can sit in front of you and look at you and read you for read you from A to Z,
Yep.
without worrying about whether or not they're going to hurt your feelings, because you need somebody that's going to sit in front of you and help you understand where you are, who you
Mm-hmm.
are, so that that light bulb moment can happen for you, so that you can begin to acknowledge some of the things that you may be blocking out, or that you may
Mm-hmm.
be afraid to talk to with your pastor. Because let's be honest, once you get involved in a community, um, your pastors really kind of become a part of your family. So you're
Right.
still going to hide things. You may want to sit down
Yep.
with them, but you're still going to not tell the complete truth.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to leave yourself out of the scenario. You're still looking for somebody to agree with you. And you may be, delusional about where you are,
Right.
because you don't want to look at what part or what role you have played in the breakdown of whatever is happening in your life. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
am a huge, huge advocate for therapy,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I know that it helped me. Yeah, and I'm not saying that, once you start therapy, it's something that you've got to do for the rest of your life, but
Right.
I would implement it within, look at it as part of your self-care for yourself.
Yep.
If you don't have anybody that you can talk to, because a lot of us don't, um honestly, because we want to pretend or continue to be this whatever person, whoever this is that we've created for the rest of the world to see. So get somebody,
Mm-hmm.
get you a therapist, a counselor, somebody
Yep.
who could care less that you're Dee Mosley or Miss Jennifer or whoever, and so that they can help you process where you are in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in mental health like 23, 24 years now. And so
I
when I
love
tell
it.
people that I have a therapist, they're like, but you in mental health. And for me,
It, yeah,
therapy really is self-care because sometimes in that field,
absolutely.
I'm seeing stuff that
Right.
it bothers me.
Yeah,
So
it will,
I have
yeah,
to
we're
be able to
on you.
talk to
So
somebody
you
to
need
help me.
exactly, the therapist needs a therapist. Like my physical
Yeah.
therapist telling me the other day that she's had a therapist, and she's a very educated woman, doctorate, and has done all these things, but she was saying that she's had a therapist for 6 years. So,
Hmm.
it's healthy to have
Yes.
someone you can go to process, because life is heavy, especially if you're actively involved in living, which includes whatever your profession is. That stuff get heavy, and you
Yes, it
need to
does.
have somewhere where you can go drop that stuff off, and somebody that can help you unpack those things so that you
Hmm.
can continue to be a healthy person. So yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So my final question for someone who may be dealing with stress, burnout, or emotional challenges, what message of hope would you like to leave with them today for the people who will watch this later on?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Well, first, I want to say, I would say that you're not alone. I
Hmm.
want you to know that where you are today does not have to be where your story ends.
Yeah.
Today, you may be feeling exhausted. You may feel overwhelmed. You may even feel like your body has turned against you. And
Hmm.
I know that you're feeling these things because I've been there. But I would ask you today, please do not continue from this day forward to suffer in silence.
Hmm.
Um, Talk to someone. Like we just said, find a therapist, see a therapist,
Yeah.
lean into your faith, ask for help.
Hmm.
There is incredible strength in saying that I am not okay. That's one of the biggest things that I had to learn, just to be able to find the language and the courage to say that I'm not okay. Um,
Hmm.
I would say, healing does not happen overnight. So go into, once you say that you're not okay, understand that that's the first step. And then understand that healing is not going to happen overnight, but at least
That's right.
start to heal yourself. Um, um, every small step matters. Take one step, then take two, then take three.
Hmm.
Um, because today I can honestly say that because I started my healing journey and because I started to tell myself the truth, I
Hmm.
see more peace now than I ever have in my life, or at least in a long time. Um, and not because life has gotten any easier. If I could tell the truth, this week was a hard week. As far as, if it seemed like everything around my house decided over the past couple of weeks decided to break down. So,
Hmm.
the washing machine tore up. We had to find money to do a whole AC unit. We've been without air for months. So that was a financial, step
Hmm.
back for us, because we had to figure it out or roast in the heat. And who gonna do that? And
Right.
then the storms came through and it blew a tree down. It's all kinds of stuff has
Yeah.
happened around the house. But yeah, peace is not about what's happening around you. It's
Oh,
about
yeah.
deciding that you're going to heal and begin the journey for yourself.
Hmm.
And that is where you begin your journey to getting healthier. So if I could say this, and I'll round it out to why my book is called, why I decided to call it Grace and Glow. Um, Grace is where you've been. Grace is what you should be giving to yourself, if I can say that to somebody today. It's
Hmm.
where you've been. Um, and it's the acknowledgement of where you've been, and being okay with saying that I'm not okay, but giving yourself an opportunity to become okay. And
Hmm.
glow, that comes from when the healing begins. So that within itself is where you get grace and glow. Give yourself grace so that you can begin to learn how to glow.
I love that. So
Yes.
I want to leave a few minutes. This is your time. So if you would
Okay.
like to share, if you have any social media handles, also if you'll
Oh,
please
wow.
share how people can purchase your
Oh,
book.
wow. Thank
Yes, ma'am.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't necessarily have a website for Grace and Glow,
Hmm.
but the book is on Amazon. Again, the book is entitled Grace and Glow. You can find it on Amazon. Like I just said, as far as a website, we don't have any of those things because, as I keep saying, this was not my plan. This was God's plan. So there's no like marketing strategy created around Grace and Glow. But what God has been doing is connecting me with wonderful people like such as yourself, Miss Jennifer, with the Empowering Minds. So I appreciate that. My Facebook, my personal Facebook is just me, Dee Mosley. Um, that's about it. All my other social media platforms are just, kind of random. So you
Hmm.
can definitely find the book on Amazon. I've been giving a few more opportunities to talk to people about, my journey in Grace and Glow. So there will be a few more things out there. I'm speaking on another podcast in a few weeks, and locally, folk around my way, they know me, so I have a few speaking engagements in regard to that. But yeah, Amazon is where you can find Grace and Glow. We do have a companion journal that goes along with that. So for people who get the book, read my journey, and decide, hey, this is me. How do I start? We have a companion journal so that you can use the journal as you go through Grace and Glow to begin to write down your own thoughts, your own feelings, emotions, even your own symptoms, so that you can
Hmm.
look back on that for your own personal journey. So you can also, we have like a PayPal link for the Grace and Glow companion journal. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, through my personal social media Facebook page, then I can
Okay.
give them information or the link for the PayPal link for the companion journal. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and chat with you for a minute.
Well, thank you too. Thank you for helping me to empower minds and empower community. Um, I was
You're
very
so,
strategic in the name of this podcast. That's what the Lord gave me.
I
So,
love it.
yes, that's each podcast. That is my goal, to empower and encourage someone else to, tap into resources. Make sure that you are
Yeah,
well all over. If you feel like, physical symptoms, I have a headache. I feel like I have a cold. You're going to the doctor. So I
right.
encourage people, you need to check in with yourself about your mental health too, and
Absolutely.
get you a therapist.
Got to do
So
it. Got
you've
to
helped
do.
me. Yes, you've helped me tremendously with that
Thank
today,
you
and I
so much.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. Again, thank you so much to connecting me with your North Carolina audience and whoever else is out there listening. This was
Mhm.
a blessing. So I appreciate you so much.
All right, thank you. I will be in contact with you probably about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All
Thank
right,
you. Thank you.
take care. Have a blessed day.
You too. You too.
Thanks.